De Gea must be wondering if years of suffering at Man United is really worth it. David De Gea must be the biggest masochist in Manchester. The definition of the term above is someone who enjoys an activity that appears to be painful or tedious. Is there a more fitting description for the life of a Manchester United goalkeeper than this? For some reason unbeknown to everyone apart from the man himself, De Gea has chosen to fulfill this role for more than a decade now. Being one of the highest paid goalkeepers in the world on £400,000 a week provides some sort of comfort amid all the suffering. But years of abuse tend to take a toll, and when De Gea looks at his bank balance, he must still wonder if all the financial reward has been worth it. De Gea has been voted United's Player of the Year 4 times, which tells its own story. 4 also just happens to be the number of trophies De Gea has won since arriving at Old Trafford from Atletico Madrid in 2011 in a £23 million deal. On current evidence, De Gea isn't going to be adding to a collection of medals that betrays his talent and dedication. On this evidence, he could spend another decade at United and still have just one Premier League title to his name. The final nail in the coffin containing United's current title hopes was hammered in at Old Trafford on Saturday as Manchester City cruised through one of the most one-sided derbies in living memory. How United limited the damage to just 2-0 is anyone's guess, but there is no doubting De Gea has to take some of the credit. He produced some world-class saves in the first half to remind all those in the red corner just how fortunate United are to still have him between the posts. Okay, so he might have been at fault, along with Luke Shaw, for Bernardo Silva's goal on the stroke of half-time. But it's no exaggeration to suggest that Pep Guardiola's side would have been 5-0 up by this time had it not been for De Gea. Is David De Gea Manchester United's best player on current form? Let us know in the comments section. De Gea had mitigating circumstances to fall back on too. If being made the last line of defense behind an unfamiliar and dysfunctional back three wasn't bad enough, De Gea had to put up with the fact Victor Lindelof was part of a unit about as secure as a sieve. When these three wise men also include an unfit Harry Maguire and Eric Bailly doing his best impression of a headless chicken, then De Gea can be forgiven for thinking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is having a laugh at his expense. United were not even content with scoring just one goal for the opposition, following Bailey's horrible shank into his own net inside 7 minutes. Lindelof then tried to notch a second, but was denied by the brilliance of De Gea, who stood there, hand on hips, puffing out his cheeks like someone wishing he'd rather be shopping with Mrs. than being made a fool of once again by people supposed to be on the same side. By the final whistle, United had more shots on target against their own keeper than against City's. Christmas is still almost 8 weeks away, but the pantomime season was in full swing at United, who have not kept a clean sheet at home since March. But De Gea remains one of the few exceptions to the current rule by not playing the villain. He might have even raised a smile in the home dressing room at the break when Solskjaer decided to revert to a back four in a bid to limit the damage, or as Gary Neville said, at least reduce the second half to a calm annihilation. But why had it taken Solskjaer so long to make the change most people could see was needed after less than 15 minutes? Even this felt irrelevant though, because whatever